Per ESPN's Adam Schefter, Bobby Wagner and the LA Rams will part ways. This is after 1 year. This is a willing cap casualty situation, according to Schefter. That means that the Rams need cap space. They're $14 million over, and normally someone would be a cap casualty, but Bobby seems okay with being released because he reportedly wants to play for a winner, which the Rams may or may not be in 2023. Bobby initially signed a 5-year, $50 million deal with LA. Bump that obviously didn't play out, but he had a good 2022 season. 140 tackles, 6 sacks, which is a career high, 2 interceptions. Why are we talking about this? Not just because Bobby's a former Seahawk, but because the Seahawks could use some linebackers. So I'll start with this one. Would you want Bobby in Seattle? Hypothetical, take money out of it. Would you want to see Bobby back?
First, did you know that it's February, not March?
Oh, so someone corrected you. So Bump said, what is this, March? And then a listener texted in and said, look, you were so excited. I wouldn't normally correct you, but my birthday is February 27th.
Didn't mean to skip over your birthday.
Hey, happy early birthday. You know what? Yeah.
But would I want Bobby here? Yes, I would want Bobby here. With these circumstances, yes, I would. Mm-hmm. Simply because, obviously, he's a great of Seattle. We all love him here. He is still a pretty good football player. I just wouldn't want him at $18 million. And that's the case. I would never want to sit down with Bobby and disrespect him. Right now, you know what I'd offer him? $7 to $9 million maybe. And say, look, man, we're moving some things around. We got to franchise our quarterback possibly. We got to sign him to a deal. Eventually, we have to pay other guys to support this ball club. We just can't afford you at $18 million, and I wouldn't want to disrespect Bobby like that. Would I want Bobby here? Most definitely. Jordan Brooks is out. Cody Barton needs some guidance there. You're probably going to draft another linebacker. He's a leader. He'll get guys in line, but not at 18.
Interior linebacker is a low-key need of this team. Now, if you're like a hardcore Seahawks fan or you know football well, it's not low-key. You know very much that they're going to need an interior linebacker. But I think people look at it and they think, well, you know, hey, maybe you just add someone. Cody Barton's pretty cheap. You got 2 great outside linebackers. Jordan Brooks is there. Well, Jordan Brooks may have like a 12-month recovery. Who knows? He just had surgery to repair an ACL tear on like January 19th or something like that. He may be ready for the start of the season. He may not be. We don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but you do have to prepare for, you know, just in case. I would love to see Bobby in Seattle. I have never in my entire career covering this team heard a bad thing about Bobby Wagner. All of my interactions with him have been wonderful. I'm speaking for you because I know that yours have been the same. He's a very likable guy, a great leader, and a very consistent performer. Bobby Wagner is currently facing something that's really unfair about football, which is that even if your play is still good, your age will matter.
Yeah.
And it's really unfair, right? Because you look at Bobby and you think, well, you know, you weren't as good as you were at your peak. You know, you weren't like a first-team All-Pro, you know, obvious season, but you were a second team. You should have been a Pro Bowler. I mean, you were one of the better players on LA's defense all year long. You played all 17 games. You were one of their highest-graded players. So it's that thing of like, you're still above average. You just aren't as great as you used to be. So how much is your skill worth now? And unfortunately for Bobby, I think he's saying, hey, I might be 31 or 32 or however old he is, but I can still play. And teams are saying, yeah, but you're 31 or 32.
Yeah, and you're 31 or 32 and you play linebacker. You are 31 or 32 and you are a tackle, right or left tackle, you'll be good. You are 31 or 32, you're a quarterback, you'll be fine. But because you play one of the more violent positions in the game, people start to wonder. Now, you look at his numbers and you go, all right, why wouldn't you want Bobby back? 140 tackles, 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 phantom interception against the Seahawks. I'll point that out, Bobby, but good for you. All right, you're no longer a Ram, so we can be honest with each other. And then you have 5 passes defended. What people are going to say, now I'm going to play devil's advocate. This is what people are going to say about Bobby. All of his tackles were 5-6 yards down the field. He doesn't get in there and play downhill the way that he used to. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you, but I also don't think that you're 100% correct. I think that as you get older, you lose a step, you make business decisions. But the position that the Seahawks are in right now with the linebackers, you're in no position to really argue about this. So if you could get Bobby for the low, you definitely want Bobby for the low because you ain't got nobody now.
That's exactly what it is to me. It's anyone looking at it saying Bobby Wagner, who I still think is great. I mean, Pro Football Focus, a texter pointing this out rightfully, was really high on him and wrote about an entire article about him as a Pro Bowl snub. Bobby Wagner would be one of the best defensive players on your team immediately, like without a leg. You know what I mean? Like, your defense needs so much help, and that isn't to say that the potential isn't there for the guys you have. Like, Tariq Woolen has the potential to be an all-pro. Darrell Taylor had so much potential that the Seahawks almost drafted him in the first round.
Right.
You know, Uchenna Nwosu was your leading sack getter and was great. You know, he had periods of inconsistency, but when he was on, and you were like, thank goodness they got that guy in free agency. What a signing by John. But you need help on defense. Bobby gives you that help. So even if he's not at his very best, you need to be realistic about where you are and look at your defense and say, you know what? Bobby at like a B- ends up being an A++ on a defense that is really struggling against the run, because that's where Bobby was great. But can this actually happen?
253. This is a great point. Cutting Bobby was partly due to getting new leaders on the team and not old ones.
Bam!
Giving Jordan Brooks room to grow into that leadership position and saying, this is my group. So now that's another conversation you would have to have with Bobby. One, all right, bruh, we can only afford you at $7 to $9 million. Two, this is Jordan's team now.
Yeah.
Now, he might not be there for this season or maybe the bulk of the season, however things work out with his knee. But when he comes back, you need to give him space to be the leader that he was for this defense. Is Bobby humble enough to do that? And it's hard because Bobby is going into the Hall of Fame. Like, he is one of the greatest to play this game. Is he in a place in his career where he's okay with letting the young buck lead the charge when he gets back?
It is a really, really good point, though, because it's not even just about being Jordan's team. It's about ushering in a new era of Seahawks football. The point, while you have all this capital and cap space, should be to get younger and should be to start a new regime, not necessarily, this texter's right, and you're right, to bring back an old one. It's not that that old one isn't good, but it's like, well, who are the new voices? You got to move forward eventually, right?
Yeah.
You got to move forward eventually.
Tough spot.